You may have never heard of micro-interactions before, and you might be wondering what they are, but I guarantee you've seen them, and heck, you might have even already created one or two along the way. In this video, we're going to be exploring not only what they are, but also why it's important to think about things like this when you're building out either your web page, web app, or app, whatever it happens to be. Hi there, my name is Kevin, and here at my channel we learn how to make the web and how to make it look good with weekly tips, tricks, and tutorials. And you might notice things are looking a little bit different. I'm in the middle of renovating, moving things around, and it's going to change a little bit over the next few videos, but exciting things going forward. As far as what micro-interactions are, they're often, as we're going to see with some examples in this video, but they're often really simple animations that often actually almost go unnoticed, but they can really help with the overall user experience. Will Fanguy on InVision's blog Inside Design put it really nicely when he said micro-interactions are small moments where the user and design interact. When they're well designed, micro-interactions enhance the user's experience with the design. When they're poorly designed, they damage the experience. For some concrete examples, think of like Twitter's heart icon. When you click it, that cool little animation that can happen, or if you're on a mobile phone and you're on the browser and you want to refresh the page, and that pull down action that you can do that refreshes the page, and you get that little pull down thing that goes with the spinning wheel, or even when your phone's vibrating or dinging or something like that when you get a DM. A really big part of them is adding in these small details, micro details you might say, that can help delight the user. They just make them smile a little bit, but they should also be helping the user's overall experience with what they're working on. Now these can delight the user in a really cool and fun way. It can make them smile if they notice it. But most importantly, it should be there to help inform them about what's happening with their experience on the site or app or whatever it is. Really, their goal should be passing information and giving feedback to the user. Some of the more obvious things like this is when there's state changes. So this could be anything from like opening a menu, liking a post, writing messages, anything like that, where there's literally a change going on in the state, the active time where you're writing, and there's those little bubbles that show up that let the other person know that you're actually writing. The feedback that you get from these is really, really important with the overall experience, even though most of the time you're not even really noticing it. But imagine if you click like on a post and there was nothing that happened. No little thing that filled in, no color, no anything. You just had to guess that it worked. I'm sure this has actually happened to you on like a form where you fill out the whole form, you click send, and for a second or two while the page is loading to the next state, it doesn't actually let you know if what you did was right. You're sort of like, oh, what's happening? And then all of a sudden it clicks over and it leaves you in limbo for a second. It's almost an uncomfortable feeling. Like, do I have to click it again? What's going on? And then all of a sudden you realize that, no, it's okay. But a good, well-designed form, when you click that, you get a little spinning icon or a loading form or something to let you know that it's in progress and you did something. It's received that and it's processing before you get to the next step. It really helps the user experience, even though it's something that really you don't notice until it's missing. Now, a lot of these are from user interaction. So that means the user did something and the system is giving us feedback on that. But that's not always the case. There are other the system can actually initiate them as well, but this is things like when you get dings on your phone or your phone vibrates or something like that to let you know that there was a change in state. You might have, you went from having no messages to a new message, so there's a little ding or vibration to let you know about it. So those are also micro interactions. But in this case, they're initiated by the system and not by the user interacting with the page. And then a lot of the examples that I'm finding on this are all animations, and a lot of them are really cool and really fun, but sound can be part of it too. On my phone, when I bring up Google Assistant, you get a little ding sound to let you know that it's active and that it's actually listening to you. Now, there's two ways you can actually get the assistant to listen to you. There's a little button I can push, and there's also just saying, hey, Google. Now, you can see my phone didn't pick that up or you would have heard the ding, but it's especially important when I'm talking to the phone and saying, hey, Google. Still didn't. Oh, there we go. I think I heard it that time. So it's important at that because I don't even see my phone, but I know it's listening to me now. And I'd really like to know why the Hey Google thing works like 30 to 40% of the time, but I can be in the middle of a conversation with someone. They're far away from me and saying random stuff. Phone's in my jean pocket and it's still all of a sudden like, and I know it's listening. So it's good to have that though, because all of a sudden I can turn it off before it starts answering like on some random search that it might have done. And even there's a lot of micro interactions that go in with the Google Assistant, because there's the little ding sound or loop sound that it does when it starts listening. But then there's actually these 4 little balls that sort of just float there, and that lets you know that it's actively listening. It's waiting for you. It's sitting there, it's idling. And as soon as you start talking, they actually turn into waveforms and they start bouncing around. And that's super useful. And the reason that's really, really useful is sometimes when I talk to it, it doesn't hear me for some reason. It just stays there in the idling state, nothing's happening. So that bouncing thing, it's a really useful feedback. Siri has the same thing. It has those sound waves that are on the bottom. When you talk, you see them sort of go kind of crazy. And things like that are really good micro interactions because they're letting the user know, especially when it's speech, is it hearing me? You don't have to second guess right away while you're talking. You know that what you're saying is actively being heard by your phone. And this is really similar to like when you heart a post on Twitter. When you click that, it's not just like this little like, oh, it was a hollow heart that's now red. It actually gives you like this cool popping animation. Pooh, and these little things fly off of it. And it's a nice little animation. It's really, really cool. And your retweet, I'm pretty sure it's not just like a simple filling in. It does something. And this can be really useful because those are on a touch device. So a little bit like when I'm talking to something, it's nice seeing the feedback there. This is when I touch it, I see the feedback. Imagine if you're scrolling and you accidentally like something and then you see the post and you're not sure if you liked it just now by accident or if it was something that was already liked before. You're going through your feed, you're into old posts. It's nice to know that you see the animation happen, so it's really, really giving you direct feedback that you just clicked there. If it was by accident, you can unlike it or whatever it is, but Facebook does the same thing with all their different things. It used to just be likes, but now they have all the different reactions, but there's this feedback that they give you every time you do it. So now that you know what they are, you probably go, wow, I've done these previously and I just didn't realize it. And it's really common. I did the same thing when I started reading about these. I'm like, oh yeah. And one just quick example of something that I did with them, if you want to take a bigger look at it, was the ToDo app I made with Kyle from Web Dev Simplified. If you didn't know about that project, I created all of the front end, I designed it, and then made it look the way it looked. And then he added the functionality with JavaScript. So we had 2 videos on that one, each on our respective channels. And I made a lot of conscious choices with that when it came to how the ToDo app was working. When someone hovers on top of the circle to check something off, the circle changes. It lets you know, okay, you can click on this. So it's the same as a hover state on a link. That technically is a micro interaction. You're letting the user know that is something they can interact with, and it's confirming that because they should already know it's a link. And now you're confirming to them that that's something they can click on. So I'm confirming to them that they can click. And then when the user clicked in this case, or on that ToDo app we did, it wouldn't just fill that in and it wouldn't gray it out. We wanted to cross it off. But instead of just, okay, I could have just put strike through and then all of a sudden the text would be striked out and that would be fine. But I wanted the line to sort of slide through it. So it's sort of, you're crossing it off. The same as if I had a piece of paper in front of me and I was crossing things off a list. To me, this was really important, and it's the type of experience the user gets. It's a lot more satisfying seeing that thing get crossed off than just like, oh, it's grayed out now. It's still done. It's still, you get a little dopamine or whatever it is for getting through your to-do list, but just that crossing off thing, it just really does make it feel like, yeah, and it's such a small little thing though, just like the little Twitter heart pop and all these other little things, but they can really help with the overall user experience because it's just this little touch. They're not really noticing it, but it's this nice extra level of detail that's there that's confirming, and it's really showing them exactly what's happening. And it's giving them that feedback that, yes, you've crossed that off your list. And you have to realize that a lot of people aren't focusing on these and they're really not noticing them. A lot of people might not even really notice there was an animation there. Well, they would because they were following along with the code here, but a lot of users of something like that might not notice that, oh, look at that, it's being crossed off, but it's just more of a subtle thing. Same like there's a lot of menus and you open them and then you open the menu and the things sort of fade in and then you close the menu and they fade out. Or it could even just be when you open a menu and it slides out instead of just like, oh, here's imagine you click a link and all of a sudden, or click the hamburger menu and just poop, there's your whole navigation. It'd be a little bit jarring. That's why you usually see them slide out, or like in the video that I'm in the middle of working on, we'll talk about more in a second, but where it just sort of grows out and then grows back in. It's also like smooth scrolling. If you click something like a navigation link and it scrolls down to where you are, it can help the user know where they are on the page. You know that you didn't actually go to a second page, you're still on the same page, and you know where you are on that page. Did you go a little bit down? Did you go really far down? When you don't have smooth scrolling and you click it and it just appears lower down, a lot of the time it feels like another page loaded really fast, but it just feels like you went somewhere else. And then, all of a sudden you scroll up and you go, oh, I'm where I just was, and then you figure it out. But it just really helps the user experience when it scrolls down, because it feels a lot more natural. It feels like you're just scrolling like you normally would, but it's really important because it's helping the user know where they are and locate themselves, which is super important when they're on your page. You don't want to get them confused or anything like that. It's the biggest thing you want to avoid. Now, as Will Fangai said, bad ones can actually hurt the user experience. If they're counter to what the person expects, that can be a big problem, and it can actually feel unnatural. And then that's doing the opposite of what you wanted it to do. So in this video, we just explored what they are to give you an idea. I wanted to talk a lot about them. So in the next video, what we're going to do next week is take a look at adding, we did the navigation that grew out and grew in, and I already like that, but I want to add some extra touches to that. I want to increase the user experience with that. And while we're doing that, we're going to explore a lot of tweaks that we can do in the little things, just with the length of animations or animation delays, and the difference that different types of animation curves, the cubic Bezier versus linear versus ease in out, the difference that can make in the user experience, and just how these little tweaks sometimes can actually make a really big difference in how everything feels or the direction things are moving. Sometimes it makes a really big difference in how the whole thing feels. So you can look forward to that one next week if you're watching this when it came out, or if you're in the future, you can go ahead and watch that probably right now. Before we go though, I just want to say a really big thank you to all of you. I mentioned it in a previous video that we've passed 100,000 subscribers, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. If you haven't yet subscribed, you don't want to miss out on that next video, please consider subscribing. But yeah, I'm so excited to have passed that, and I really look forward to being able to grow this channel. And as I said, the setup here, it's going to be evolving a little bit in the next month or so, hopefully. Everything sort of gets settled down. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I'm going to put my camera. The whole area where I film it, it's my basement, has been completely rearranged. I'm going to be working, the background's crap right now. And you might notice that I'm wearing a t-shirt that was partially cropped out, but I have also got some swag going on. And so if you do want to get that, there should be appearing underneath the video right now. You should see them there, the options, they're there. It's in a whole bunch of colors. It's not something so much for me to make money off of, because it's with Teespring, and first of all, I apologize for anyone who's not in the States who wants to get one. I realize the shipping can be really prohibitive, because even to get my own that I made took a while to get here, and it cost a handful for the shipping on the two shirts that I got, but I got them. I'm happy with them, and if you do want to get one, you can check it out. The link there. It should be right under the video. There'll be links in the description if not. So you can check those out if it's something that interests you. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm really happy with it. Again, I lowered the price down. I don't want to be here to make money off of this. It will help support my channel, but just a little bit. It's, you'll buy me a coffee type of thing. And, but I'd appreciate it, but also just to, if you think it looks nice and you want to wear something like that, let people know you are a web dev that likes making the internet just a little bit more awesome every day, then this t-shirt is for you. Thank you to all the patrons for all the support they give me every single month. And one last time, thank you for watching. And of course, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more awesome.